Good morning, and welcome to our latest example of our new normal. I am Acting Essex County Prosecutor Theodore N. Stevens II. Joining me today are Chief of Detectives Mitchell McGuire and First Assistant Prosecutor Ramesh Sadeo. Joining us virtually are Chief Assistant Prosecutors Tom Fennelly and Roger Imhoff, and Executive Assistant Prosecutor Gwendolyn Williams. Also joining us, Acting United States Attorney Rachel Honig, Drug Enforcement Administration SAC Susan Gibson, Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms SAC Charlie Patterson, Federal Bureau of Investigation ASAC Joe Dennehy, Director of Criminal Division of the Attorney General's Office Veronica Allende, Newark Public Safety Director Anthony Ambrose, and Essex County Sheriff Armando Ventura. Thank you all for being present today. The purpose of this press conference is to share with the public the work the Essex County Prosecutor's Office has undertaken in the last year as we seek to advance the cause of justice in the middle of a pandemic. Policing and prosecuting in a pandemic are obviously challenging. In 2020, we are in uncharted waters. As many of you know, the Essex County Prosecutor's Office is the largest and the busiest prosecutor's office in the state of New Jersey. We work with many municipalities and other state and governmental agencies. On top of that, we have this once-in-a-lifetime pandemic, and then the recent racial reckoning from the death of George Floyd. In short, I see why they offered me this position. But almost a year later into this pandemic, the men and women of the Essex County Prosecutor's Office, working with our partners in law enforcement and the community at large, have done an extraordinary job of balancing our duty to maintain public safety with being part of a caring community. Without a blueprint, we are forced to pivot as death and disease rock this nation, and certainly Essex County was not spared from that as well. We had to continue policing and prosecuting, including enforcing Governor Murphy's executive orders in order to protect the health and well-being of victims, witnesses, defendants, and our personnel. Amid the strain of the pandemic, we were confronted with the televised homicide of George Floyd, which laid bare some undeniable facts about race and policing and propelled the nation into a long overdue conversation. It also required us to aid numerous municipalities throughout the county where these protests took place. Thankfully, the protests here in Essex County were peaceful. Credit goes to the organizers, the elected officials, and police who refused to allow any violence in the name of George Floyd. Today, I want to share our successes in 2020, especially in investigating homicides. Unlike many other parts of the country, violent crime is down in Essex County, particularly in Newark. There were 78 homicides in Essex County in 2020, down 4% from the prior year. Now, any reduction is good. However, compared to the 104 homicides committed in 2018, that is about a 25% decrease, impressive under any circumstance, particularly when we're also balancing the interests of criminal justice reform and the jail population continues to decline. That number alone is significant, but even more impressive is our closeout rate. Of the 78 homicides, 56 were solved. That is a 72% closeout rate. And that number doesn't include the 6 homicides from 2018 and 2019 that were solved in 2020. Let me be clear. One unsolved homicide is too many. We recognize that for the family of the victim of a case which is not yet solved, statistics do not mean much. For that reason, We remain committed to solving every case. But when we compare our numbers to the national average, which is a closeout rate according to FBI statistics in the low 60% range, we are very proud of our work. In addition to homicides, special recognition should go to our Special Victims Unit and our Domestic Violence Unit. Both of these units continue to do great work amid this pandemic. The Special Victims Unit processed a total of 1,331 cases. The vast majority were abuse against children, including sexual and physical abuse, as well as neglect. The Domestic Violence Unit reviewed 3,221 cases. These are particularly vulnerable populations, especially during a pandemic in which people were confined to their homes. Now, working with our law enforcement partners, we realized early on that we had to employ stepped-up measures to allow people to seek help. Far less well known to the public is our work of the pretrial units, particularly the grand jury unit, which has been holding grand jury proceedings virtually since October of 2020, at that time when grand jury started, although it started virtually. There have been 3 grand jury panels operating with jurors participating from home via Zoom. Since October 20, some 143 matters have been presented to the grand jury. Even though holding virtual grand jury is far from perfect, no prosecutors in office in this state was happy with this process. But we have worked with the court in order to move cases along, understanding that the pandemic continues the delays, which without that would be untenable. Finally, and just as important, this crisis was an opportunity to expand the reach of the Essex County Prosecutor's Office into the community. Even though we could not meet in person, we had to meet virtually with community groups, students, and others. And we were honored to receive an Excellence in Policing Award from Attorney General Grewal for our work implementing the 2121 initiative. In addition, we recognize that we must be part of the greater Essex County community. And so we worked with the county and County Executive DiVincenzo, as well as East Orange Senior Center Manager Butts, to develop very robust food programs. Collectively working with those 2 entities, for the last 9 months, every week for the last 9 months, the Essex County Prosecutor's Office has participated in food distribution programs. And over that 9-month period of time, we distributed over 600,000 units of food to needy citizens here in Essex County. All of this was accomplished as many of our staff were working remotely. Those same staff members were dealing with personal tragedies and challenges, ranging from child care issues to family members and coworkers who succumbed to the virus. And our prayers continue to go out to those family members and friends who have lost someone. I would like to personally thank my staff and members of the public, especially our clergy partners, who have been supportive and patient amid this crisis, particularly those who have pending cases. We recognize that delays in the system are frustrating and discouraging, but they should know, and we want to reassure everyone, that we are investigating cases with the same vigor and the same commitment that we have always displayed. Let me conclude by saying the pursuit of justice is a sacred duty of everyone in law enforcement. Despite these unprecedented challenges of 2020, the Essex County Prosecutor's Office combined our commitment to seeking justice with creativity and resilience to accomplish these impressive results. Now, I have the honor of being able to ask for some comments from our invaluable law enforcement partners. First, Director Veronica Allende, who is the Director of the Division of Criminal Justice in the Attorney General's Office. Director Allende.
Thank you so much, Prosecutor Stevens. It's always good to be back home in Essex County, even if it is only virtually. I am thrilled to take part in this event today on behalf of Attorney General Grewal and the New Jersey Division of Criminal Justice. The accomplishments that you have announced this morning are outstanding and really nothing short of remarkable given the difficulties presented by the COVID-19 pandemic. We at DCJ also have been presented with these difficulties, so I am keenly aware of just how challenging the COVID-19 pandemic has been on safely continuing criminal investigations. On behalf of Attorney General Grewal and all of DCJ, I congratulate you, Director Ambrose, and all of the law enforcement partners who have made these results possible. Essex County certainly is a challenging environment for law enforcement in normal times, and those challenges have only multiplied with the COVID-19 emergency. But law enforcement in New Jersey has truly stepped up this past year, and these results in Essex County are a prime example. Undaunted by COVID, the members of law enforcement have, like other frontline workers, courageously faced the health risks presented by this pandemic. Beyond that, they've had to negotiate other obstacles and dangers caused by this virus because the people they protect and serve are shut in, stressed, deprived of necessities in many cases, and wary of contact. But effective collaboration, which is always critical, has become all the more important, as you have noted. When I was aligned Deputy Attorney General in the Gangs and Organized Crime Bureau of the Division of Criminal Justice, I served for a time as an Essex County Assistant Prosecutor assigned to a trial team and then the multi-jurisdictional carjacking task force. So I have a personal connection to the Essex County Prosecutor's Office and frontline experience in the unique challenges posed by criminal investigations in Essex County. I am also aware of how collaboration and intelligence sharing serve as force multipliers and pathways to success in Essex County and of course throughout our state. As Director of the Division of Criminal Justice, I continue to witness on a daily basis how we all cooperate in Essex County across all levels of law enforcement in order to address violent crime, the opioid epidemic, and other shared priorities. This is exemplified in the Essex County Homicide Task Force, the Newark Violent Crime Initiative, and the other many task forces, initiatives, and investigations we participate in together. In closing, I also want to affirm the importance of extending this ideal of partnership to our communities. I mentioned the stress that our communities are under during the COVID-19 pandemic. This makes our efforts to reach out and strengthen community relations and trust even more critical. Attorney General Grewal has prioritized community relations with his 2121 Community Policing Project. And of course, I know that you, Prosecutor Stevens, have made community outreach a top priority, having earned an Excellence in Policing Award for your efforts last year. Simply put, you are great partners, and I commend you again for these results and the outstanding work of your office during the pandemic. With special thanks and gratitude to the hardworking and dedicated members of your special victims and domestic violence units. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Next, we'll hear from Acting United States Attorney Rachel Honig.
Thank you, Prosecutor Stevens. I congratulate you and all of the men and women of the Essex County Prosecutor's Office for your success last year in investigating and prosecuting and preventing violence, and in particular homicide. As you noted, this was a particularly difficult year in which to combat violent crime, and a year in which nationwide violent crime numbers ticked up. And Essex County, the success in Essex County is truly remarkable for that reason. We're in, as I believe many of you know, our 4th year of the Newark Violent Crime Initiative, which is a collaborative partnership among my office, the Essex County Prosecutor's Office, the Newark Police Department, the Essex County Sheriff's Office, the State Police, the FBI, the ATF, and the DEA. It's an incredibly successful program, and we work very closely together to identify and target the most violent offenders and the ones who are driving the violence in Newark and in our other VCI cities as well. Because of our close cooperation, we feel that your successes are our successes and our successes are your successes. And I look forward to that level of cooperation and collaboration continuing as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Honig. Next, Drug Enforcement Administration SAC, Susan Gibson.
First of all, thank you for having me here, Prosecutor Stevens. I just want to say I am utterly proud of the relationships I have with Essex County, my federal components, and 21 different counties in this state, and the 536 police departments in this state. We all have to work together to combat this problem. The United States has a problem with gun violence, and gun violence goes hand in hand with drug trafficking. We had 19,000 people die last year at the hands of guns in the United States. And as a federal agency, DEA decided to do something about it. Under Operation Safeguard, which was an intensive 3-month collaboration amongst federal and state and local counterparts, we were able to get close to 3,000 guns off the street, and 27 here in New Jersey alone. This is a big problem that we need to work on together. It's just not going to be one agency, one department, one local municipality that's going to tackle this problem alone. We have to work together. New Jersey alone, we've seen a 27% increase in shootings and a 44% increase in murders. It's critical that we use our resources, identify the worst of the worst, and work on them collaboratively and go after them. And that's exactly what Prosecutor Stevens did, along with Mitch McGuire, who's the chief of D's there. They strategically pinpointed the worst of the worst that's responsible for most of this crime that's going on. And we went after them, and we got them arrested, and we made people safer. And I just can't thank enough my counterparts. Anthony Ambrose, New York Police Department, was amazing with everything that he has given us. I'm sad to see him go, but I'm proud for him to retire. Rachel Honing, who stepped in for Craig Carpenito. The District of New Jersey has been incredible going after these violent offenders and giving them federal time. I can't thank them enough for their partnership. And obviously I can go on for days, but Charlie Patterson, also the head of ATF, who will probably be speaking soon, our combined relationship with DEA and ATF has been amazing. And so thank you, everybody. This is going to continue. This is precision enforcement is going to continue. And I'm proud to say I'm part of it. So thank you.
Thank you, SAC Gibson. As usual, SAC Gibson is reading my notes because next is the SAC of the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, Charlie Patterson.
Thank you, Prosecutor Stevens, and congratulations to you and your entire staff for the accomplishments that you have made over the past year. It's made a significant difference to the communities in Essex County. As most of us know, ATF identifies and investigates criminal individuals and organizations who illegally possess, traffic, and utilize firearms in the furtherance of violent crime, alongside with our local, state, and federal partners. Through the U.S. Attorney's Office-led Violent Crime Initiative, we continuously collaborate with the Essex County Prosecutor's Office and our partners to remove the worst violent offenders in our communities. ATF's proprietary programs like the National Integrated Ballistics Information Network, or NIBIN, E-Trace, and the National Tracing Center are all critical pieces that we all have access to and utilize in our crime reduction efforts. For example, in 2018 through 2019, law enforcement partners in Essex County collectively took more than 1,300 firearms from the streets of Essex County cities, with a number of those recoveries related to attempted homicides and attempted suicides, among others. Last year, ATF led several investigations with all of our partners here today that resulted in the recovery of multiple firearms and contraband from gang members responsible for shootings, murders, and other acts of violence. This effort is truly all about saving lives. ATF has been and always will be a dedicated partner to the Essex County Prosecutor's Office. In my opinion, the citizens of Essex County expect and deserve this kind of partnership because I believe our people make a meaningful difference in our communities every day. I would like to thank Prosecutor Stevens and Chief McGuire for their support and leadership, particularly along with our agency leadership partners who are on with us today. Without the support and accountability of each one of us doing our part, I know we would not be able to enjoy the successes we have had with reducing the number of homicides in Essex County this year. Thank you.
Thank you, SAC Patterson. Thank you for your partnership. Next, from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, ASAC Joe Denahan.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everybody. Again, my name is Joe Denahan. I'm the Assistant Special Agent in charge for FBI Newark's Counterterrorism and Crisis Response Branch. I want to thank Prosecutor Stevens, Chief McGuire, for the opportunity to join you and my distinguished colleagues this morning. The FBI has had a very difficult week with 5 special agents shot and 2 being killed in the line of duty in our Miami division. As tough as it's been on all of us, it's heartening to be on this call with you this morning to talk about trust and collaboration between all these fine organizations. As my colleagues have already smartly articulated, the partnerships here in New Jersey are some of the finest and most impactful anywhere in the nation. Our ability to effectively collaborate and work together makes us stronger, makes us better, and it makes us more resilient in the face of an ever-changing threat landscape. This past 12 to 14 months has been very challenging. We have all collectively faced a variety of dynamic problem sets, including a terrorist attack in Jersey City, riots, and the attempted assassination of a federal judge. Throughout it all, however, it's been our partnerships and our focus on the mission itself that's enabled us to collectively be successful preventing violence and for pursuing justice in the honor of victims of crime. We saw this week, as we've seen many times before around the nation, the dangers of working in law enforcement. On behalf of the men and women of the FBI Newark, we look forward to continuing to work with all of you and to continue to serve and safeguard New Jersey. I'd like to turn it back over to Prosecutor Stevens. Thank you, sir.
ASC Denahan, we will especially want to thank you for joining us during these challenging times. Our prayers continue to go with you and your folks as well. We're with you. Next, one of our essential partners, Newark Public Safety Director Anthony Ambrose. I didn't see Director Ambrose on, so perhaps he's not with us yet. So at this point, we're going to move forward with Essex County Sheriff Armando Fontura.
Good morning, everyone. Needless to say, 2020 was the most challenging year for all of us, all of our people. As one who's been around here longer than anybody, including the 1967 riots, believe it or not. I was only 13 years old then, by the way. But I was walking the beat out there, and I can tell you that this year is equal to none. Working from home from our officers was not an option, continues to be not an option. We can't work virtually. We have to show up. Our citizens expect us to show up. Even though everyone is in hiding, we have to show up. And show up, we did. The prosecutor articulated very well. Our collaboration with all of us and everyone else has since then talked about how we collaborate, how we work together. We are indeed one army fighting the same war. It wasn't always like this, but I can tell you that the work between all of our agencies, between our municipal police departments, our prosecutor's office, is always seamless. He talked about the demonstrations. That's a very proud moment for all of us here in Essex County, led by our prosecutor, Anthony Ambrose, the city of Newark, and all of our partners. We were able to escape any violence, even though we had more demonstrations than any other community. Very proud moment indeed. Busy, as the prosecutor indicated, with his people and our people. Newark had, in particular, sadly, lost 7 of their officers. Our people paid a high price for their showing up every day. We average a number of 30 people a week, either recovering from the virus or in quarantine. We're down to around 20 averaging now. So we're moving in the right direction. We executed a food drive. We tested 6 days a week for the virus. We were in charge of that. And now we have a new challenge by our county executive, that the prosecutor and us were maintaining security at all of our vaccination sites, 5, best in the state. All of that cannot be done without the collaboration, without the assistance, without the seamless work from all of us. I'm very proud of the fact that we have indeed accomplished that. Kudos to the prosecutor's office, of course. They're the best in the state, the busiest in the state. Kudos to the Newark Police Department in particular, and to all of our partners at the state and federal level. We appreciate it. Again, we are in the same army indeed, fighting the same war, just a different platoon. But our work is always seamless and shall continue to be that way. It's always an honor and a pleasure to work with our prosecutor's office. He's our chief law enforcement officer. He sets the tone, and they do an outstanding job. We appreciate it very, very much. On behalf of all of our citizens, thank you to all of our partners, and let's hope that 2021 starts to turn the corner for us and is not as devastating as 2020. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. And even in absentia, I just want to point out the incredible efforts that the city of Newark has made under the leadership of Director Anthony Ambrose. He is certainly an absolutely essential member of this team in Essex County. As Newark goes, so goes Essex County. There's no doubt about that. And we've had the pleasure of working with him and his agency collaboratively. And I know that Chief McGuire certainly has worked with them extremely closely along the way, as also Ramesh Sadeo, who's our first assistant here in the office. So they are essential partners. And so anything that we can do from the Essex County Prosecutor's Office, even though he's got a pending retirement coming, to keep this collaboration going is at the top of our agenda. It's been said that this kind of collaboration does not happen in other parts of the state and other parts of the country. I don't know how they're effective without this kind of collaboration. So on behalf of the Essex County Prosecutor's Office, I want to thank everyone on this call today and everyone law enforcement and in the Essex County community for doing their part to make sure that this collaboration yields the type of results and the successes for the citizens of Essex County that they so justly deserve. At this point, I'll open the floor for questions if there are any.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Hi, it's Rebecca Panico with NJ.com and the Star Ledger. I just wanted to start off by saying thank you for holding this press conference. I think it's important to have transparency with the community. But in that vein, I had a question for the acting U.S. Attorney. I just wanted to ask, activists in Newark have been calling on you to launch a civil rights investigation into the fatal shooting of Carl Dorsey. He was fatally shot by a Newark police detective on New Year's Day. I just wanted to ask, will you open a civil rights investigation into that?
Thanks for the question. As I think you know, the U.S. Attorney's Office doesn't comment on whether a particular investigation has been opened or will be opened. There's nothing in the public record that I can say about that. I mean, I can tell you generally that obviously we take use of force issues and potential civil rights violations very seriously. And we work cooperatively with our state and local partners to examine any situations that raise any concerns with us, and then we take appropriate action when that action is indicated. So beyond that, there's nothing else that I can say, but the public should know that we care deeply about these matters and we take them very seriously.
Thank you.
Okay, it looks like that is it for our questions. Again, I want to thank everyone for their kind attention, especially our partners. And with regard to everything moving forward, please remember, we have a vaccine that's here and others that are coming. And we see a light at the end of the tunnel. We're sure that it is not a train. It is a light that's going to lead us toward getting through this pandemic. But in the meantime, continue to wash your hands, wear your mask, socially distance, and remain safe. Thank you so much for your attention.